Thank you, Ceann Comhairle. And at the outset, I would like to commend Senator Black for her extensive work on this bill, and very pleased that she's joining us here today. Ceann Comhairle, in a recorded interview in 1976, the then Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin said that the settlement movement was akin to a cancer for the Israeli that would eventually undermine the democratic nature of the country. Over 40 years later, we can see how accurate his assessment was. The international community has, to a large extent, stood back and watched as the land bank that would have constituted the majority of the future Palestinian state be carved up and fractured by illegal Israeli settlements. The construction of settlements has caused untold misery for the Palestinian people. Land is seized for illegal residential and commercial developments. Olive groves are uprooted. Palestinians are not free to travel in or to cultivate their own farmland. Access to water, electricity and so on is severely restricted. In the past 30 years, the lines between illegal military occupation and outright annexation have become so blurred that it is almost impossible to envisage a resolution to the conflict. Today, the prospect of a two-state solution seems very remote and a lifetime away from the promises of the Oslo Accords. The unwillingness of the Israeli government to engage in meaningful talks on the future of Palestine, emboldened as they are by the rhetoric of the current US administration, means that as long as they can keep the Palestinians contained, peace is unachievable. It is in this context that we must situate Senator Black's bill. The Social Democrats strongly welcome the objectives of this piece of legislation. What it amounts to is a simple recognition of the illegality of the annexation and occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The status of these settlements was affirmed by the International Court of Justice in 2004 and called on states not to render aid or assistance in maintaining them. If we are to adhere to the government and EU position that the settlements constitute a major obstacle to peace and threaten to make a two-state solution impossible, end of quote, then we simply should not be engaging in trade with them. To continue to do so will further embolden Israel to annex more of the 42% of the West Bank that they now control and to approve more settlement building. The most common exports from the illegally occupied territories are agricultural products such as fruit and vegetables, as well as some types of cosmetics that use Dead Sea mineral extracts. This is simply theft, in my view. While the value of imported products from the settlements to Ireland is low, somewhere between about €500,000 and €1 million per year, the passing of this bill would send a strong message of solidarity to the Palestinian people and also to other EU member states. As a whole, the EU imports €230 million per year from the illegal settlements, whereas imports from Palestine amount to a mere €15 million. Make no mistake, through our inaction, we have turned a blind eye and allowed this situation to continue. In trading with the settlements, we give them legitimacy and provide them with the vital economic support that allows them to sustain and indeed expand. In supporting this bill, we do not wish to position ourselves against the State of Israel. We acknowledge them as a component state of the two-state solution, but only within the 1967 borders. This means accepting that to engage in trade with the illegal settlements is to grant them an unwarranted legitimacy. We cannot continue to allow this to happen, as it is a disservice to the pursuit of peace in the region. Thank you, Ceann Comhairle.